A few weeks ago, I made a video showing how to replace the charge port on an iPad with two different methods. And one of the comments that I got was, "I'm glad to see you back, but sir, we need you to teach us all about iPad step by step. From opening the iPad to soldering and closing it back. Bundle of thanks." And I realized that a lot of the time I'm just getting to the specific repair that I'm looking to show, like in those cases. So today we're going to go step by step on opening and closing an iPad. Today I'm going to show you my step-by-step on how I close. Today I'm going to show you my step-by-step on how to repair an iPad. The one that I'm going to be working on shattered the bottom. Got some tape covering it up to hold it together. It still works. Touch is still good. Home button still works. But it's definitely not in a position where someone would want to use it like this. And I'm sure that this repair for most of you is a daily occurrence. But there's a possibility that something I show you makes your life a little easier. Or maybe there's something that you see that I don't do that you can comment down below. That being said, let's get started. Alright, so first things first, we're going to take a look at our new Digitizer, making sure it's fully intact. It comes with new adhesive around the border, which is nice. And the flex cables for the Digitizer are on the right side. The home button will go off to the right side as well. So basically this bottom 3 or 4 inches is where we really need to be careful if we were trying to get the Digitizer off without breaking it. And we also need to not damage where the home button goes on the edge. It comes with a new gasket, camera bracket, and home button bracket if we need them. And as you can see, when I click the home button, it turns on. If I go in to set up a fingerprint, you can see that it's reading my thumbprint, which means everything's good on this one. We'll go ahead and power it off. Now there are a bunch of different techniques to removing the Digitizer. You can use a heat pad, you can use a heat gun, you can use pry tools, a bunch of different things. Because this Digitizer is already broken, I can be more aggressive than I would be if I was if this was the first time I was in here, or if I was going in for a battery or charge port. And I've got a feeling like someone's been in here before because this is coming off much easier than it should. Let's see if this is a replacement Digitizer. You shouldn't be able to just pull on it like this and have it fly off, but it's coming off nicely. Yeah, look at that, just popping off. Let's pry on the top here. And again, you can use a heat gun, a heat mat, make your life a little simpler. Maybe prevent it from shattering. Sometimes if you give it too much prying with the tool, it'll shatter. And although that's not the end of the world, it's annoying to have to clean up. I do have plenty of videos showing different techniques. For example, using this tool and even using this tool as well to open an iPad. Doing it cold with a piece of plastic. This plastic can really cut through the adhesive. And looking inside, you can see there's a thick tessa tape going all the way down the side, which means someone has been in here before and replaced it with their own adhesive. Maybe the battery was done, maybe the charge port was done. Kind of hard to say, but that is not the way the factory adhesive looks. Let's see how much of the bottom wants to come out on its own by giving it a little bit of tension. And I'm going to peel off this tape here so I can see more what's going on with this home button because it's really loose. I don't want it to get torn away from the flex cable, so I'm going to push it down. And when we start to lift the Digitizer, you can see the home button's almost wanting to stay behind. If you are going to use a metal tool, make sure you're not scuffing up the frame. You don't want to leave evidence of that you've been in there, so scratching the aluminum will definitely leave marks. I can tell that the same technique of thick strip of tessa tape going across the bottom was used. We need to make sure we don't damage the antenna, but it looks like it's already kind of come loose. I bet you they were trying to tape it down. Let's see if we can keep it down. Yeah, I think that someone had torn this off. They taped the whole thing down with tessa tape. We'll come back to this corner later. Let's see if I can grab this side of the tessa tape and pull on it. And now the actual button wants to come up with the bracket. This looks like the original glue that comes around the button bracket. So there's a chance that someone did get in here for a battery or a charge port. They just replace the adhesive. And then eventually we'll get to the point where you should be able to get the rest of the Digitizer off, making sure not to damage the other antenna. Most of the time there isn't adhesive on top of it, in the same way it's been worked on before. And then we'll gently fold this out, and then you'll have the occasional shard of glass on the actual LCD itself, so we'll need to address that without scratching the polarizer. Now we'll pop out the 3 corner screws. We'll carefully lift out the display at the top, making sure it's still able to come out without holding on to the corners before. And it looks like someone's replaced the battery in here because it's got an Amcentric battery. We'll take out the 3 screws holding the display and the digitizer. And then we can pop this off, the display off, set it aside. Grab the little sticker for the home button, set it aside. We can flip up the little flap and carefully extract the home button flex so we don't accidentally tear it. And then we can disconnect the digitizer and pull the digitizer off. And to turn some attention to this home button to make sure we don't tear the cable, carefully lift it. It looks like this is the original digitizer. It still has remnants of the original adhesive and was able to successfully get it off through the battery before. If this cable ever gets torn from basically the here to there, you can replace it. There's a solder joint here where you can solder on a new one. But if it gets damaged anywhere around here, you've basically lost Touch ID on that iPad. So I'm taking some extra time to make sure I don't accidentally tear. And a drop of isopropyl alcohol can help loosen the adhesive, or you can just go extra slow. And we'll need to deal with all of the shards on here. Otherwise, this digitizer can just go in the trash. Now, to make sure we don't have any shards inside here or even on the display, having one of these air blowers is convenient. You just go like this and you're able to spray into those little areas where the shards might have gotten into. That way they don't find their way on top of the display down the road. If you don't have one of these and you have one of these little bottles, here I haven't even opened this one, but it does the same thing as well, just not as strong. We've got little shards of glass all over this, so instead of wiping them away and potentially scratching the polarizer, we'll just come in and blow off all of that, all of the shards and all of the dust. Now I've got a fingerprint right here. If I were to come in with isopropyl alcohol on a new wipe here, I'm very gentle, I can clean it. And there's a spot over here as well. That's something you might notice. It's kind of hard to see on the camera. I kind of just smeared things around. It's less noticeable, but it's definitely something you capture in the light. Now, if I go to the acetone with one wipe, all of the smears are gone. That's why I recommend acetone over anything when cleaning, because it'll get rid of the smudges and smears, fingerprints, and everything without issue. And it evaporates so much faster than alcohol. Basically, I mean, there's definitely technique involved to get no streaks, but it's much better than anything else I've found. For the sides, these little flathead screwdrivers that come in the little baggies that you normally just chuck, they work really well for scraping off the adhesive on the side of the frame. And the other tool that you can use is a blade. You just gotta be careful, especially to not slip off and hit the battery when you're on the battery side. And I highly recommend getting yourself a pump bottle and some clean room wipes and use acetone or alcohol, even though acetone is much better for the purpose of cleaning up adhesives. It is more dangerous of a chemical. Filling it up some more will help. All right. And go ahead and clean off all of the adhesive and residue down to the bare metal, leaving nothing behind whatsoever. Alcohol will work, but it tends to leave residue still. You'd have to sit there for a lot longer than you would with acetone, where it just cuts right through everything. It will melt plastics, or not all, but some plastics, so you do have to be careful of speakers and anything that's plastic, really. And like alcohol, it will dry out your hands. My fingers are pretty used to it. It's also the best cleaning agent if you get fingerprints on the polarizer on the LCD. For comparison, I spend about 10 seconds cleaning up this side with acetone, and it is nice and clean, free of any residue, while this other segment from here to here still has plenty of adhesive on it. I switched to a brand new cloth with some isopropyl alcohol, nice and saturated, and I go in to clean. It's really not doing much, kind of the friction's doing more than anything. Let me get more on the cloth. There, that's soaking wet. Let's go in again. It's starting to do something, but it's not really moving the adhesive much at all, kind of. And I'm into it about a minute, and it's still not getting all of the adhesive. Whereas if I go back to the acetone, instantly it's moving, and it's basically clean at this point. Big difference. Carefully lift out any of the shards of glass, the old adhesive. Trying not to let any of the shards of glass fall inside the iPad. We'll want to make sure we hold down that antenna while pulling off the adhesive so it doesn't get torn. And we'll make sure that these little white sensors, it's like a white film that goes over them. We don't want those to get pulled off with this adhesive. So I'll be watching those as I pull this off. We'll pull off the adhesive here. Same on this side. Make sure it doesn't pull away the white thing. Now, I normally avoid using all of these, but today I'm going to use them. It's because of how shattered this is, and I wanted to show it. So I'm going to take a drop of isopropyl alcohol so we can gently peel away the flex from the bracket. One thing you need to be very mindful of this entire time is the little black nub that sits on the yellow part. If that gets knocked off, it'll make it so the button won't click properly. And although you can fix it, it's not easy. The new Digitizer does come with one of those plastic rings around the button. It looks like this one's still attached to the gasket. So we'll get in between the two and I'll be able to pull it off. And in this case, this gasket looks still really good. Still got the sticky side to it. There's no shards on it, so I'm actually going to keep it. But you can see how this would go on. You just peel it off the back, clean it up, and this has new adhesive and you can stick it on. But we will be using this other two, the camera guide and the new home button bracket. Alright, so from here, we're going to take the button, we'll line it up, make sure it's nice and squared up, which it is. We'll peel off the protector for the new home button bracket if it's really sticky adhesive. And then we'll come in and we will line it up. Now these little white guides, they do a pretty good job at helping you line things up properly. I like to still eyeball and make sure that the nub is indeed, a little nub under there is lining up, that the nub under there is lining up with the little standoff part. Once I'm satisfied, I'll compress it and kind of massage this into place, and then we'll make sure the home button clicks, which it does. It sounds really good. Up at the top, I'm going to carefully peel off this bracket that's designed for the previous generation. And then we'll take the new camera bracket, line it on up, and push it on down. Now, some might say that this next step is overkill. I'm going to take my cold press glue and I'm going to pipe out a nice little bead around, basically giving it that identical factory glue just to reinforce the edge. Using super glue, which I've seen some techs do, I never recommend because it's going to make it impossible for the next tech to work with, and on top of that creates a really rigid area, and it's more likely to crack. And if you don't line it up properly, it sticks right away and then you risk damaging the home button, losing Touch ID. And we'll just let that sit for 5 minutes or so, and it should set up enough to close it. Alright, now we'll take the digitizer and we'll go ahead and connect up the two connectors, and then we'll also connect up the home button, and we'll put back that sticker. Now if this was an iPad Pro, I would have isolated the battery for sure, but with these iPads, I never have had an issue with the backlight. Although if you're not positive, go ahead and isolate the battery before connecting anything back up. We'll put back the bracket and the screws, lower down the display, put back the 4 corner screws. Alright, and then we can go ahead and power it on before finalizing the repair. Get the Apple logo. I've removed the protector for the adhesive around the border, all but the one that sits behind the flex cables. We'll peel off the protector for the inside of the digitizer in a second. But first things first, I want to make sure everything works. See if the home button works. And it does. I need to make sure the touch works, which it does. So there's basically a few more steps and we're done. First, I'll dim the screen. I'll peel off the protector on the inside of the digitizer. Double check that there's no dust anywhere on the LCD. Gently lower it in place, lining up the corners. And then we can peel off the last bit of adhesive and make sure that none of the flex cables get pinched down inside. We're closing this guy up. Now you can put this under pressure. One of my favorite techniques is this technique right use with these blow-up bags. You can take the time to put a bunch of clamps around the perimeter, or if you have a clamping fixture, or I normally have a straw for this, but in this case I'm just using this guy. Get a little stress release while you're doing this as well. And now we've got it a super secure and clamped down iPad on all sides. The amount of pressure that's being applied in there is substantial. And this also makes really good for packaging. If you wanted to ship this off, it would be extremely protected when the box gets dropped. It's so tight that you can't even slide the iPad while it's in there. It's not going anywhere. And that's how I go about replacing the Digitizer on an iPad. So when the time comes, I'm easily able to take it out of the bubble bag, and it'll have spent plenty of time under pressure to give it that nice seal. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. If there's something you'd like to see in a future video, let me know as well. And if you have something to add, something that you'd like to do during these repairs, comment it down below as well. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you in the next video.